007 First Light, Mooki Island, and Card Crawl 2. This is in. Staying in. Do you all want to hear about my latest trip to the hospital?
Yes, please. So, are we still at the same percentage, Sam? We still at the same percentage?
I don't know. I want to know why Pete laughed.
because it's just like, I just, you know those moments where you just go, oh no, we're old.
This podcast has come a long way from where it used to be.
Yeah, like, hey, did you want to hear about the cool new game I bought? Yeah. Hey, did you want to hear about the cool new beer that I drank? Yeah. Oh, did you want to hear about my new ailment? Yeah. Sounds great.
No, I think Pete, it's less kind of new ailment. It's the implication in what he said that he's going to the hospital many times.
Yeah,
this is just the latest visit.
Yeah,
the latest one.
I'm very supportive of this, Sam, because men historically are terrible at talking about their own health to each other. So
It's very true, Chris.
You're amongst friends here now.
I also ran a half marathon, so you can have either story. You can have going to hospital.
Are they directly related? Does one immediately follow the other?
So Dan and Pete.
Yeah, immediately as I left the hospital, there I was in my gown.
Dan and Pete, I asked Sam about his run. And he said, yeah, it was all going great until my feet exploded.
I feel like if they'd actually exploded, I would have probably heard about it on the news.
Or heard it go off. I want to hear about both. I want to hear. I want to hear about the peaks and the troughs. So tell me.
You can choose what to keep in the edit.
So the hospital I was in for an angiogram.
Very nice.
Which is a CT scan of your heart. That's it. So I've nearly ticked off all the radioactive fun you can have in a hospital. X-ray,
yep,
MRI, CT.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big three, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure why Pokemon Go took off and this didn't, but yeah.
And when you go for a CT scan, you see lots of stuff around the place, which is like where they don't talk about how much radiation you're going to be exposed to. All they kind of say is doctors deem that the benefits outweigh any effects. Anyway,
let me put on my hazmat suit.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm just going to stand behind this giant LED screen.
Yeah. We can leave you in this room on your own and you'll be fine.
We don't want to be in there with it.
We know what it does.
So talk me through. Is it like you're in a bunker, Sam? That's the image that Pete's conjured up for me there, like, you know, the creation of Dr. Manhattan.
Well, it was slightly. I did have to get into a gown, so I was already nearly.
Okay. Nice.
You know, I was partially dressed, a bit like Dr. Manhattan.
Yep.
And then I had to have a cannula fitted for the very first time, which was awful.
I don't know what that is.
It's the where you have like a tube either like in there, they put a tube in, or in your hand. And like mine, I'm sorry, we should have prefaced this by, if you're squeamish, just look for the time code for the next fun thing I can talk about. My feet exploding.
Don't worry, listeners. We're going to talk about Card Crawl at some point.
Yeah. UKGE's coming up as well. Listeners. Stay tuned.
Yes. So they put the cannula in. It's like the crook of my elbow.
Yeah.
And I was a bit inconvenient. I was like, can I bend it? And they were like, oh, yeah, sure, you can bend it. And I was like, I'm not going to bend this. So I just had to, I kept my arm just, completely out. I was just sitting there in the waiting room because I went to go and have the cannula fitted and they weren't ready. So I had to go back out in my gown with my arm completely held rigid.
Like you were thumbing for a lift.
So I got sat down on the table where you get the CT scan done. So then the first thing they did, they taught me through what was going to happen. And it's just basically just sit down in if you ever had an MRI scan, it's similar, but you're not in an enclosed space.
Right.
It's just a donut-shaped machine that you get presented into. And then the machine goes really, 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 really fast and then scans the part of the body that they're interested in. You just go in, hold your breath for a few seconds, and then come out again, and we'll do that a few times, and that's it. But first, I need to spray this in your mouth. I was like, okay. And it's like, it's a spray that opens up all the valves in your chest.
Whoa.
But it'll also open up all the valves in your head. So you'll get an instant headache. And so he did it and sprayed it. And he went, yeah, aniseed, isn't it? And I went, no, my head's on fire. And part of me was just like...
And hold your breath.
And part of me was just like, the body's amazing, isn't it? It's just like, this spray is going to give you an instant headache. And I was like, yeah, right. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, not me, mate.
I'm basically nails.
I love the fact that this person was basically just like, the first thing they said is, aniseed, isn't it? Like, that's not the most miraculous part of this story, right? like, wow, aniseed! Like,
What will they think of next?
Wouldn't it be great if they just had a spray that instantaneously closed them all?
Yeah, that would. I mean, the science only went so far,
Yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah.
Right, we've got a spray that gives people an instant headache.
Yeah.
Should we do the... Nah.
No.
Let's stop there.
That's like a spray that Adam West's Batman would just have on his utility belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For one specific instance.
Just for a mild inconvenience.
And then I find out what the cannula's for. So they then wheel in this other machine, right? And they hook my arm up to this other machine, and they press a button and just go, any pain? And I was like, nope. They were like, all right, okay, just so you know, at some point during the procedure, we don't tell you why, because you've got to keep your heart rate down for the imaging to be successful. We're going to pump you with a load of dye. And so that's so we can see the veins properly. You'll feel warm all over your body, and you'll also feel like you're weeing yourself, but you're not. It's just a feeling. And the way and the way he really emphasised it's just a feeling made me think that someone's jumped off this machine and gone.
Instantaneously wet themselves.
So then the procedure starts, and then suddenly I hear this as like the dye comes into my body, and like it is incredible. Like immediately I just start feeling warm all over, and I'm just like, yes, this is my origin story. Come on.
Yeah, here we go.
Just like I just start feeling like all this warmth like come down, and then suddenly this that warm, comforting feeling in your groin. I was like, oh, I remember what that was like. Where it's just
Wow.
like, just feels incredibly warm and just like incredibly just like I have just gone to the toilet.
And you
It
had
was-
pissed yourself, so...
And I had pissed myself.
Da 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 da. Dan.
Hi!
You have been playing a 007 game, and I would like to know about it, please.
Is it Tomorrow Never Dies?
Oh, is it Nightfire?
That's a deep cut.
Is it The World Is Not Enough, which I played for half an hour Christmas Day and never picked up again?
Chris, is it 007 Racing?
What?
Now I'm really interested about hearing about First Light, because as you know, I picked the world's worst New Year's resolution this year, which was if I want to start playing a new game, I've got to complete a game.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. But last night I completed Tactical Breach Wizards.
Ooh.
And so now everyone, I'm in the market.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on the scene.
Well, let me put one forward for you. Because I have been playing kind of the new hotness, the new big thing.
It is big.
And I don't remember the last time I did this, I even pre-ordered it.
Oh,
Word.
Yeah, but it was about 2 days before it came out, but technically it was still a pre-order.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
It wasn't like going into Electronics Boutique like 4 months before and putting your name on a piece of paper.
no, it wasn't. Nothing quite like that. It was literally 2 days before. It's like, oh, I do want that. Oh, it comes out on Thursday. Yes. So yeah, I've been playing 007 First Light, and I have to say I've very much been enjoying it. So 007 First Light is from IO Interactive, so kind of most commonly known for the Hitman series. Hitman is not a series I've really ever got on with. I feel like it should be something I would enjoy. I do like stealth games. The problem is I'm not very good at stealth games. So they've never really agreed with me because there's no kind of way around that. And so when this game kind of got announced and it was from the makers of Hitman, I was kind of like, I mean, I'm interested in the Bond license, but maybe not Hitman. But as kind of more information came out, more trailers came out, you could see it was going to be more action orientated. So I was very much kind of, okay, this looks very interesting. And I've been searching for a game that meets that action adventure, kind of gives me that buzz from an action adventure game. It is probably my favorite genre of game. My favorite franchise of all time is probably the Uncharted series. And it's obvious the comparison people will make and have made with kind of First Light and Uncharted. It's the easiest comparison to make. And for me, that is the highest of high watermarks for me. Like, that is the pinnacle of what I love in video games. Like the Naughty Dog games, Uncharted, The Last of Us, that is kind of top tier. So we have a game here that is a genre that I really enjoy, third-person action adventure. But most importantly, not only is it looking at the Bond franchise, for me, the direct comparison is Casino Royale, which is the first Daniel Craig movie, which for me is almost a perfect action film. Like, I feel it kind of loses its way narratively just in the final act, but I do think it is almost, almost a perfect action film. So 007 First Light is an origin story for Bond. And what you then find is you basically, whereas Uncharted plays through like an action film, the idea being I'm playing an action movie, here you are playing a Bond movie, which might not feel like a particularly big difference, and it is quite a subtle difference, but you very much feel like I'm playing a Bond movie. Like, one of the best examples of it is really early on, when you start the training, you go through like a tutorial aspect of it, of like, this is how you run and clamber over things, this is how you fight, this is how you drive. But the way it's done like a movie montage. So you have a quick thing of a 10-second thing of this is how you fight, and then it cuts to you in a car, and then it cuts to something else, and it feels like you're in the movie montage of how Bond is learning, and it feels really cool when you're doing it. And suddenly you're doing a bit of a car chase within kind of, as you're learning the style of driving that you'll have to do as Bond and all that stuff. And it was the clearest sign of, this is a movie that I am playing. And I think that was always with Uncharted, that big thing of, you are playing through scenes that in any other game would be a cutscene. You have a similar thing with 007 First Light, where you are playing through the cutscenes. I don't think it ever quite reaches the heights of what Uncharted managed to accomplish in that sense. There are certainly areas where I feel like, yes, this would be a cutscene in another game. But then I also think, this is now a cutscene in First Light. In Uncharted, I'd still be playing this kind of thing. But it has everything that you want in a Bond movie. And it's easier to probably talk about it like a Bond movie than a game. So it has all these different elements. It has the car chase, it has exotic locations, gunfights, kind of cartoon villains, the henchmen, all these different elements, Bond turning on the charm, everything you look for. And it's all done so with that sheen of Casino Royale in the background. So for me, the best way of giving you some points of reference, it's Casino Royale meets Uncharted 2. And Uncharted 2 is probably the one that kind of feels to me as the closest. There are certain scenes in it, in First Light, that very much feel like a nod to Uncharted. Like, there is a scene where you are kind of navigating around a shipping yard, and like, that is Uncharted. There is a huge set piece in Uncharted 2. Yeah. And I'm playing that, and I'm like, I'm seeing this. The whole thing with Casino Royale then plays into the combat system. Like, a lot of the combat is hand-to-hand. In a lot of ways, it's kind of messy. So I kind of mean that in a good way. So it is kind of blocking and punching and counter-punching. And if you get kind of surrounded, it can go south very quickly. And so there is an element of like, you need to be watchful of what you're doing. And that kind of where that whole Hitman idea plays into, of like, you don't want to get surrounded because you don't last long. But what's brilliant is at times I struggle, but then there are certain combat techniques where I think it's like I'm playing on PlayStation, so you use like R2, and it basically uses the surroundings as part of the combat.
That's what I wanted to ask.
And it's not like a really like complicated button press. It's like if you're hitting somebody and they're blocking you, you can use R2 and that will then grab them, or if you're by a wall, it'll slam them into a wall or into a bookcase and stuff like that, and the bookcase will smash and stuff like that. And you're using those environmental elements around you. If there's a bottle on the side, you have the option to throw the bottle at someone. All that stuff is brilliant, and
it's cool.
You find yourself when you're fighting kind of noticing things around. Like if I'm in an office, I'll notice some of like the keyboards around, and if you're fighting that way, he might pick up the keyboard and hit them with it. And that's why I go back to Casino Royale. That whole idea, like if you think about that opening scene in Casino Royale where he fights the guy in the bathroom, it's messy and it's tough and it's throwing him into walls and smack him into things. It's not this kind of finely choreographed thing. And that's
why
to
the death. Like
exactly,
it's a dirty fight to the death.
Exactly, and it is grabbing anything that you can find to just battle against. And when that works, because it doesn't always work, but when that does work, it feels fantastic, and it does feel like you are a one-man army.
Quite interestingly, one thing you haven't really mentioned yet is any of the elements that I would associate with a Hitman game. I know you said before, like, Hitman is a stealth game, and for me, it's not really a stealth game. It's kind of an environmental puzzle. You can see why IO is such a good fit for the Bond franchise. It's very much the later Hitman games really towed a line between very sort of serious sort of spycraft, but also they had a suitcase that when you threw it could go around corners. Like it was.
There's a streak of humour.
Quite silly.
There's a streak of humour.
There's a streak, which is a very Bond thing, right? Especially, like the best Bond, Pierce Brosnan. So, is that stuff present in the game, or is it completely just action adventure, Uncharted-esque experience?
It's absolutely still there. So there is that whole element of you can choose how to navigate through this world, and there are certain times where you need to follow that route that Hitman was showing. So one of the first big missions you go to with your team, you have to infiltrate this big mansion that they're holding this chess tournament in, and you've been told, because the guy in charge doesn't like you, your job is to stay with the car. Basically, we're all going to go in, and you're in charge of the getaway vehicle. Obviously, Bond being Bond, he gets distracted and thinks I need to help out, so he wants to try and sneak in. And this was kind of my first experience of that idea of how do I get in. And what I found was you're walking around, you can eavesdrop over people, the little pop-ups that enable you to just stand to the side and you listen to it, and often that eavesdropping is giving you the information that you need. And then all the environmental elements are there. So I found like a wheelbarrow full of dried leaves that I could set on fire, but I don't have a lighter. So I need to go and find a lighter. And there was a lighter by somebody sat on a bench, but he was chatting on the bench. So what I needed to do was turn on a hose 10 feet away, which was leading underneath him.
So it's Untitled Goose Game.
I better say it's Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
He gets up and walks off. I go over, nab the lighter, and then when someone's not looking, I set fire to the leaves. Someone comes over, which then offers me an opportunity to sneak in behind them. But absolutely, that whole Hitman side is still there, and it is a really interesting way of navigating through that world.
Can I ask a question about what it is to play as Bond? Because I loved the Bond films when I was a kid. Pierce Brosnan is Sam's Bond. Mine's probably Timothy Dalton. I really loved The Living Daylights as a kid.
Guys, come on. We get it. You're cool. It's Sean Connery. For God's sake.
I really hope you were going to say David Niven. As I've gotten older, I found Bond and what he represents typically to just be a bit of a prat, generally, in terms of his personality and just kind of who they are.
That's what I like about him. That's what I like about Bond. I don't think you're meant to like him. I don't think.
No, I know you're not meant to like him. But that's the thing, really. So, like, And I think what I really liked about Craig's interpretation of that character was that he's unlikable, but you kind of see that vulnerability, which means that you can't. It highlights a degree of nuance there, say, for example.
For sure, yeah.
How does that come across, or does it come across when you're playing this Bond, let's say?
I think it helps that for me, like, and it helps me to enjoy this game. My favorite Bond is Daniel Craig. I think his interpretation, is the ultimate overall interpretation of Bond that there has been. I think he has been the best one. And so, being that this is an origin story, this is not Bond as 007. He is a recruit. He is in part of the program to become a 00. He has not become a 00. Because of that, you have that youth aspect that can play into. So I think he is a likable person. I think he is a smart talker. See, all that stuff is still there. There is occasions where you are chatting up women and stuff like that. I've not had any instance where that's been a kind of a plot point, really, in terms of that. I'm sure that could well be, because that is a fundamental part of the character, that he would use that kind of his kind of sexuality around all of that kind of stuff. But that has been a case where I've had conversations with people and that kind of thing has played out. And there's a lot of conversations around, Bond's the pretty boy, all that stuff. He's the charmer, he's all of those things. But then because you have that element of the head guy, Greenway, played by Lenny James, doesn't like him, doesn't think he should be there, you have that flip side of he has to prove himself. He's not top of the class. He has to prove himself to everyone. Like, no one necessarily thinks, he's the best of the best of the best. He's still trying to make his name in this world. And so I think for me, that's why it works, because you have that, and you have him becoming the person that's in the films, which is why the Casino Royale thing was so great, because that's him becoming the man that he then becomes in Skyfall and Spectre and No Time to Die and all that, and I'm ignoring Quantum of Solace. So I do think it is like a really important factor in terms of thinking about how that character is developing, because it's not just Bond on his own as a one-man army. It kind of sometimes can feel like that when obviously it's a single-player thing. You are taking on lots of different people. I think, interestingly, looking at that Uncharted comparison, with Uncharted, it's all running and gunning pretty much. Obviously, there is melee combat, but you've always got a gun and fighting your way out of things. Interesting, you don't always have a gun as Bond. And the rule is you are only allowed to use your gun when someone is trying to kill you, and then you're given, in quotations, your license to kill. And suddenly that changes the mode. Suddenly you have a license to kill, and then you can have your gun, and it all plays out that way.
So Dan, do you go around just goading people? Come on, come on.
Just walking into them over and over again.
I'm going to beat you at this chess game unless you do something about it.
It's been a type of game I've wanted to play for a long, long time. I think for the last few years, I've played some great games like Thank Goodness You're Here, Blueprints have been wonderful games, but they've been kind of very specific games. Like Thank Goodness You're Here was a very unique game that I just adored. Blueprints was brilliant, but it was also part of that was me playing it with my wife and playing it with my son and all of that. Whereas this is taking me back to those days when I was playing those action adventure games where, like, maybe when my wife's gone to bed or the kids gone to bed, I just want to have another, like, when we finish tonight, I want to go back into that world and just have I want to experience a bit more of that narrative, because it's a linear narrative, which is, I don't want what so many games want me to do now and wander off and do these side quests and all stuff like that, which is amazing. It's all fantastic, just not what I want. I want a linear story which will take me through from beginning to end and just enjoy it. Pete, I don't know the theme tune for your game that you've been playing, so I'll make one up.
I was going to give you at least the genre, Dan.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a medieval card game. Imagine you're in a pub where everything's wooden, and there's little goblins and gremlins, and that's your theme. That's your genre.
Do your best impression of a recorder.
If anything, that's made it harder, but I'll go with it. Bring ding 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 ding.
That's about right.
It's not a million miles away.
It's not a million.
Sam, can you remind me, when was Crazy Frog released?
Oh yeah. I was going for Jovial.
So I'm going to talk to you about Card Crawl 2. The second of technically the third of the card crawls, as far as I can tell. So this is from Tinytouchtales, which is Arna Rauus, and I'm probably butchering his surname. This is a person who has worked on a whole bunch of different video games. Most of them are kind of mobile focused, though some of them have been released on Steam. And they've been working in the mobile space since what I would call sort of the glory days of mobile, which is like early 2010s. And indeed, Card Crawl, the original game, is a game that came out roughly around the sort of time just before I kind of left mobile games journalism. So I remember Card Crawl coming out, and I remember being very excited about it and playing it a lot, actually, at the time. And this is the follow-up. So 11 years later, Card Crawl 2 comes out. So the game itself is very much a sequel to Card Crawl, and I mean that in the kind of, this doesn't reinvent the wheel. It is very much an evolution. But that is not to do this game a disservice, because the evolution is really smart and makes some changes that really changes what Card Crawl actually is in a way that feels subtle, but is actually extremely impactful to the end game. So you can, if you want to try this for yourself and see whether or not you like it, it's a free download. You can go and get it on iOS, or you can get it on Android. And then the way that the actual monetization, because I know that's really important whenever we talk about mobile, the monetization of it is effectively, it is a free-to-play game. However, you can basically just buy your way out of the limiting factor, and you do it with essentially two unlockables. One is you have a little thing that expands the amount of coins that you can hold at any one time, and then the second one is literally just an upgrade to that as well. I think in total this game cost me like £6. It's one of the few mobile games that are not premium up front that I have then actually spent the money on afterwards. I do think it's the value that I have got from it has definitely been worth the money that I then went, you know what, I'm just going to pay for the whole thing here.
Mm-hmm.
So Card Crawl as a series is basically, you have it's a dungeon delve. So it's a fantasy dungeon delve. You are in a sort of medieval-ish tavern, and you are facing an opponent whilst playing a card game that uses a deck of cards. And the idea is that you have a set of cards that help you and a set of cards that hinder you. The main one is your main character. So your main character in the first one has an amount of health, and then every time you take a hit, you take hits to that health, and obviously you hit 0 and you're dead, and that's the end of the run. It's kind of a roguelike in that way. There's no overarching story or anything along those lines, certainly not a linear narrative. And what you're facing? Well, you're facing off against monsters that are in the dungeon, and generally the basics of Card Crawl is, if the enemy that you're facing against isn't dealt with when they are on the line that is closest to you, and in Card Crawl 1, that is just a single line. In Card Crawl 2, and this is the big differentiator, there are multiple stages to that line. If they're close to you, they will attack you automatically for the value that they are in terms of the amount of health, effectively, that they have. They will deal damage to you that is equal to that number. How do you remove that? Well, you either have shields, and you pick up a shield card that's dealt from you from a stack of cards, and basically the entire dungeon is built of this stack of cards. You either equip a shield, and you drag that enemy onto that shield card, and that protects you from an amount of damage that enemy would do, and deals that amount of damage back to them. So that's a way to deal with, to vanquish them. And then the other is swords, and basically you use a sword, and you attack that creature for X amount of points of damage. Obviously, they're not attacking you at that point. You can restore health with health potions, and there are also coins. This allows you to earn money in the game that's used for the meta game, which is essentially like buying new things, right, to make your life a little bit easier. That's kind of like the fundamentals of it. So where Card Crawl 2 really excels is, so now there are multiple levels to the playfield. So there are, by default, there are 4 levels. That means that you can have up to 4 cards stacked on one another in front of you before they attack you. Okay, it's only once they go beyond that point that they will attack you. It also means that you can now move cards from different columns. So you can move a card that's in the furthest left column. You can move it 3 spaces all the way to the right-hand column out of the 4 columns that are in the playfield. You can actually just move that around. And if you're moving an enemy, for example, you can move them onto either an empty column, or you can move that enemy onto an item that would help you. So a coin, a potion, a sword, a shield, or a magic card. We'll talk about them in a second. So you can move them onto that. And then because you've moved it on, the cards that are face down, so all cards are dealt face down to you in this, those now become revealed. So now you can actually see what was underneath that card, that top card, that enemy card. You can now see what was underneath that card. So now, underneath that enemy, well, that was a sword. And actually, this sword might be useful to attack this enemy. Fantastic. It also gives you time, because you can now plan ahead. You can now plan 2 or 3 moves ahead. With the original Card Crawl, one of the elements I would say that I would have criticised it for at the time was sometimes the randomness of the deck meant that it was very difficult to figure out whether, you'd sometimes just get a bad run, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Card Crawl 2, there are lots of ways to mitigate out the luck. You can now you can now do a lot of different things to see what is actually coming up ahead. And more than that, you can do more things to now mitigate against them. But I can also make use of a couple of other different abilities that I have. So the first is there are magic cards. So these are put into the deck itself, and again, so that means you're pulling them randomly. And these magic cards allow you to do interesting, cool things. So, for example, one of the magic cards that you can get is you can force an enemy card from the top stack all the way to the bottom of the stack. And if it goes through enemies, it takes damage. Basically, the number of steps it goes up is the number of points of damage it will take. So this now changes how you deal with it. So you don't even now need to move it from the column, right? But of course, if you're going to make that choice, well, you know that the cards stack, if you haven't defeated that enemy, is still 4 cards. Whatever card now becomes the top card, that gets revealed. And if it turns out that actually that's also an enemy and you're still low on health and now you've run out of actions, then you're dead, right? So there's lots of different choices in play in there. There's also these abilities. So in the game, there are different characters now. So the original game mostly focused around like a single character, and they do return in the sort of regular game mode. You can play like an original game mode essentially in the game. But there are now new different kinds of characters, and you unlock these with the coins that you get hold of. Let's say, for example, you unlock a new character. Well, this one might be, there's a character who has this innate ability whereby every time you attack an enemy with a sword, if you do, let's say if you do like 5 points of, so let's say for example you do 10 points of damage, it will then push the half of the damage to enemies, the top enemy in the adjacent columns. So you're essentially getting more value out of that sword that you have picked up, right?
And I think that's the puzzle I really like in this, which makes it much more forgiving as a sequel, is the fact that it's that push your luck, because the beautiful thing about the enemy cards is that you cannot put any other card on top of them.
Yes.
So it's that kind of rub, isn't it, really? You do not want to be in a situation where you're kind of like gambling on there being some kind of reward here and you've revealed a monster that you cannot move anywhere else now. It's almost like when you paint yourself into a corner when you're playing solitaire, say, for example.
Absolutely.
But it's really interesting. Like the first card crawler, which I played some years ago, it really felt like I was moving through a dungeon and just encountering things one at a time. This one feels more to me like a tower defense type of game.
Sure, yeah.
I'm holding the fort, and these waves are coming at me essentially.
Yeah.
And I just really love the fact they've kept that original art style, which made the original card crawler so charming.
So absolutely. So there's so much I love about this game. So they did keep the original art style, but one of the other unlocks is different character art. So you can actually go and find different, you can get hold of different variants of art sets. So if you don't like the enemies that you're facing, they'll still have the same numbers with a new art set, but they'll be in a different style, or they'll be a different kind of enemy type. And they look amazing. They're all really cool. And you unlock them, you go, oh, that's really rad. I'm going to change that one round. There's also a ton of new stuff. So we talked about the abilities, right? You get up to 5 with one of these. With each character. So you get one sort of regular one that they normally have, and then you usually are given 4 random ones if you're playing the standard mode. But you can also play standard constructed. So standard constructed is, hey, choose a character. Okay, cool. Now choose the magic cards that you're going to take with you, because you can, rather than get them randomly, you can basically just say, right, I want to take with me this one, and this one, because I'm trying to make a deck that does this specific kind of thing. You can also then say, right, and I want all of these abilities. Well, because I'm going to be Sword Leaper, I've got to have this, but these are the other 4. Well, they're really focused on swords, so actually I'm going to take this ability that allows it so that I do additional damage to the outside column, and I'm going to do it whereby if I hit the enemy and I do 10, let's say, for example, and that I do 10 damage and the enemy only has 7, normally the sword would sort of fizzle. You'd lose those last 3 points of damage you could have done. Well, with one of these abilities, it gets put, I think it's called a scabbard, it gets put back in to the scabbard with 3 damage still remaining left on that sword. So I can build that character out. And so now I'm metagaming, right? I'm actually figuring out, well, how do I take all of these different abilities and run the dungeon in a different way? I've made characters, for example, whereby I can generate lots and lots of coins, and that's good because for the metagame, I want those coins so I can unlock new characters. But it's also really good because I've built them so that whenever, basically, when they get coins, they actually deal damage and to the enemies and also regain health, right? And I'm building out this really cool character set that allows me to do this. So that's some of the sets of unlocks. And again, how you get this cascade of interactions to happen, that's kind of the joy of it. And every run, if you get to the end of a run and you get beaten by it, you've maybe spent 4 or 5 minutes, right? You've not wasted much time. There's no like giant, oh God, okay, that took me ages to get to. There isn't really much of that. And what that means to me is this makes it like one of the best sort of mobile focused games, because it just,
careful now.
But it is, it has this, it's one of the best implementations of.
You're poking the bear, Pete.
I am poking the bear. The thing is that Card Crawl, the original, it was already a really good game. Like, it was really, really good. But what Card Crawl 2 does is it takes those ideas and just goes, how can we evolve this? It's kind of like Magic the Gathering. If you go back to the original Magic the Gathering, it's really straightforward. And actually, the mechanics of it are really, they're not trying too many new things. But decades on, it's a completely different kind of an experience. And it feels like Card Crawl 2 has taken those standard ideas from the original and gone, this works really well. How can we bend it and break it and reshape it into a way that means that Peter will spend 20 hours over the last 2 weeks playing this game?
I was about to say, I think the last time I heard you talk about a mobile game like this was probably Codenames.
Yes. When I'm sort of dual screen doing something, right? So when I'm just chilling out, I'm watching my episode, my stories, I'm watching my King of Queens. It's the perfect game for like zoning out to. That is the kind of thing. Again, good audiobook game for me. Good thing to kind of keep myself engaged just enough in the gameplay to think about it, but also have something else and be doing that at the same time.
Well, Sam and I got up bright and early, and we went to Brum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We did. What's the theme tune for UKGE?
Or Brum.
26, do we think?
Well, I have to refer to our resident musician, Daniel.
Oh, yeah, go on, Dan.
Go on, Dan.
I remember.
So, you were in Birmingham.
Yeah. You're from that neck of the woods, Dan, as am I.
I am. I'm trying to remember the theme tune to Brum.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I think it was like...
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of it, and all I can think of is Thomas the Tank Engine.
Right.
We'll just sing that.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
We went to Birmingham to go to UK Games Expo 2026 and had an exhausting day.
Why was it exhausting?
We're out for about 15 hours.
Yeah, it was really an intense way to do it. But I will say that I think it was one of my most enjoyable years at UKGE, actually, for a number of reasons. We're not going to bury the lead and just say probably the best game I played during those 15 hours was something that we played on the train.
Yep. on the way there. So we hadn't even bought it from there.
We hadn't even bought it there. If you see a copy of Magic Maze Pocket, get it. It is
so good.
Amazing. It's such a brilliant game. I don't know if any of you, if you two have played Magic Maze before, but it was a sort of a big hit party game. I think it nominated for the Spiel?
Yeah,
Did it win the Spiel?
2017.
2017. So it was around the same time that other games were exploding, like Codenames and Colt Express and all that kind of stuff. But it's a party game where you are 4 wizards in a shopping mall or a shopping centre trying to retrieve your stolen wizardy items or fantasy items. So the barbarian's there trying to get an axe, the wizard's trying to get his wand back or something. And anyway, but how you move around this shopping centre is in complete silence, and the movement and coordination and the actions are all separated amongst you as a group. So me and Chris and our friend Tom were sat around this table on the 7 a.m. train from out of Manchester Piccadilly, and like Tom was up and left and Chris was down and right, and I was go up escalators and pick up stuff. And so you've got to navigate around this shopping centre in complete silence, but only some of you can do certain actions. And we just had an absolute blast playing it. It was superb. And because it's a pocket edition, it comes in this teeny tiny little box, which you can carry with you, and felt like a full grown experience. And it was one of those party games where you play it in silence, and then the moment it's over and you've completed a scenario, we just all erupted into laughter and sort of spoke about, why didn't you take me up there and you pass around there? Because the thing that instantly happens when you play a game like this where actions are divided amongst you is you immediately forget which actions are yours, because you just want someone to do the action that you want them to do, and then you forget that actually you're responsible for doing other things in the game. Yeah, superb. If you can get a copy, then
it is a definitive version for me, definitely.
So are you all controlling kind of one character in that sense?
No,
you're all controlling everyone.
Yeah, and there's something really funny about, even though you're silent, it's amazing just how aggressive by tapping, and how you can use that as a form of communication with each other. It's just so funny.
I do have to say that my other favourite game of the convention was actually Android Netrunner, or just Netrunner.
Really?
That it's called now.
Well, you're a bit late to the party, I'm afraid, Sam. I've got bad news for you.
And that's Peter Willington saying that to you.
Yeah.
So I was there, and we just come back from speaking to someone, and I saw the Netrunner stall, and Netrunner now isn't run by Fantasy Flight Games. It's all been taken over by a company called Null Signal Games. I don't know the details of like the copyright and the licensing, but for some magical reason, they print and they organize and they facilitate Netrunner in its guise as it is now. To give you a bit more backstory, Netrunner is a Richard Garfield asymmetric card game that is amazing, but in 2018, Fantasy Flight Games decided they weren't going to make it anymore.
Well, actually, Sam, Netrunner, the original, was Richard Garfield. Then Android Netrunner, which was Fantasy Flight, took the Android universe and added Netrunner. That's the one that basically got canned, and I think that's also the one that's basically the most beloved one, right? Like, I don't think the original Netrunner was that big, but yeah, and it got like you say, it got taken on by. I think that's the one that got taken on by that other company. And boy, it was a good game. Boy, it was a good game.
I sat down and I absolutely loved Android Netrunner, but I can hand on heart say it's probably the most difficult game I've ever taught. Because it's asymmetric, very asymmetric, like you're literally doing two different things on the side of the table. So even if you know the rules, there is no opportunity for you to learn from another player. That you need a third person there to teach you how to play the game, because you can't turn your cards over and go, I've got these words, what do they mean? Because then I can immediately just know how to play against you in that way. Like, I find it an exceedingly difficult game to teach. So I've always found it really hard to introduce it to people, and then there was a whole issue about the fact that it's not no longer supported. But Null Signal Games have come in and absolutely rescued and created an amazing community around this game. So they're a non-profit organisation. They're a non-profit company. They're practically run by volunteers. I think they have some paid members of staff, but it's all majority of it's run by people who just love the game. And I said to my friend Tom, I said, have you ever played Netrunner? And it's like, no. I said, it's fantastic. Let's sit down and play it. Long story short, our experience with Netrunner at the convention was so good that my friend Tom went on to buy everything that Null Signal Games had on for sale at that convention centre.
Wow.
Like the experience of being sat there and like this guy who was teaching us the game was just like,
it was incredible.
They set up this like demo system, and it was just so well done, because each side has a little script they go with, and the decks are preloaded to be in a certain order. So I was playing as the corporation side, and it was like, your hand is this. Play this card, which will allow you to do this, do that, then activate that, and then do that, and then that's your turn. And then Tom would do the same thing. He had a script that he followed with a pre-built deck. Then I did a thing, then he did another thing, and then it was like, right, now we're on our own with someone there who'd played 5,000 hours of Netrunner.
Holy cow.
And it was like playing a game with Richard Garfield sat next to us. It was like you were playing a game with an encyclopedia. Like, all I had to do was like show him the brief flash of a card and go, that's this card. Oh, you can do this with it. Maybe you should try doing this with it. And it was so
cool,
supportive and informative and engaged. And clearly he just, like, it was, you were playing a game with someone who's working for an organisation born out of the love for one single game, and it just came across in absolute spades, and it was just a joy to experience. And even though I own an original set of Android Netrunner, I was like, right, I'm going to, if Tom, if you don't buy any of this stuff, I'm going to buy this stuff, because if anything, I just want to support this community. Yeah. And so the whole structure of Null Signal Games is set up to be around the community and the people who play this game. And I was left with just like this, like, sometimes the board game industry can just be difficult, and it was just like, they've got a game and they love it and they're keeping it alive and it's thriving, and this is just an amazing thing, and it was wonderful to celebrate it.
Yeah, like, from somebody who I really struggle with card games of this sort. Like, it's just really not something I can really visualize or get to. Like, I found it really inspiring to be sat there. It felt so community driven. Something that's really big as Netrunner. Let's not forget that there are whole global competitions where people compete against each other to play this game. But it felt really welcoming, felt really gentle. We were waiting, weren't we, to meet up with Tom at some point. And we just said, we'll meet you back at the Netrunner stand. And somebody came over and said, hello, are you interested in Netrunner? I said, we're just waiting for a friend. But it's so refreshing to hear something that's kind of gone from something that's quite commercial to being taken back to a kind of a grassroots kind of community, really. That's really cool.
It's amazing.
I didn't really... My takeaway from UKG was much, much more about the people I met, really. And I wasn't necessarily expecting that. I didn't really go in with an idea of a game I wanted to get or look for, really. I tried a couple there that were on my list, and I found that perhaps they weren't for me. But I got to meet Tim Fowers, who designed Burgle Brothers. Finally met Tim.
Wow.
I could shake his hand and say, thank you, Tim. I know we've only ever spoken to each other via Zoom or via email in the past, but thank you. And he's such a lovely, humble fellow. So that was a real treat. I got to meet Thomas Holleck, who designed Galileo Galilei, which is a game I got last year and really love. I've just been playing it solo, actually, the last few days, and it's just a really lovely game. And I got the expansion for that, and I did something that I never ever done before, and it was just because the bloke in front of me did it. Was he signed my box?
Oh,
yeah,
sign my box any day.
Yeah.
I also met the designer of Tokyo Highway.
Oh, cool!
Amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And he was just perched,
balanced.
But I then bumped into Honey Badger Games, who I hadn't seen in years since AirCon, where they did those different teas. They very kindly sent us some tea to review a few years back, so that was cool. And then obviously meeting our pal Richard from We're Not Wizards, who was demoing Zenith, which we've spoken about in a previous pod for Hachette. So it was very much kind of people focused for me, which is really, really lovely. Even in what is quite an overwhelming space, like stimulation overload, it was just really nice to have had those kinds of moments of human connection amongst the chaos of it all, really. But there was one game that I didn't play that I've backed on Kickstarter because I got to see it in the flesh. And this...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, you know. And in fact, Dan probably knows and Pete probably knows because their marketing campaign has been ridiculous. Like, this game has gone from being something that very few people knew about to something that's just all over the place. Like, at AirCon, I was talking to Richard about it yesterday. At AirCon, they had like a little small stand. UKGE, this huge stand that everyone was just swamping around. This game is called SHUG, SHUG.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about it too much because it's not due to come out until May next year. But it's like a combination of like an exploration game or moving around a map, but also a bit of a party game. It goes up to 6 players, and you're competing with each other to essentially work your way up to the map to either take out the king, who's at the top of the map, who's got 100 hit points, which is tricky, or you find the mythical creature called Shug and you take him to the pub. That's how you win the game.
Okay.
And the art style is incredible. Like, it is very much like Terry Gilliam, like Monty Python-esque kind of art.
Meets Hieronymus Bosch.
Yeah. And yeah, it does little things where, like, as you're moving, you start off in the inn and you're moving around. If you follow the path, you get treasures, and they give you a little number which is adding to your stats. If you leave the path, you encounter a monster, and you can choose to either defeat that monster and get a reward for that, or you can befriend it and make it join your gang, and it adds to your overall hit points. So you kind of have this little gang of people, but how you may recruit this monster might be in a variety of ways. So, for example, a monster that is quite spotty says, oh, if you're wearing spots, I'll be your friend. So you look at yourself and go, actually, I forgot to wear my spots today. Okay, I can't be your friend. Or, oh, this one here's a baby. Oh, it can be my friend, but I actually have to, for the whole of the game, carry it as if it's a baby. And that's how I play. And if I encounter other fellow players on the map, we can have a duel. And some of those duels might be rolling dice, or it might be we have a staring competition. So it's like And then there's these other things like chaos cards, which happen when you cross certain sections of the map, which will just change things. Like, for example, it might just say, okay, from now on, the 6 of you, or however many of you are, split into 2 teams. It's you versus the other team. You're like, okay, right, okay, so we're joining forces now. Okay. And I had to back this. I mean, yes, there's a lot of hype around this game, but I do think it is well placed. I've not gone full Willington. I've just gone for the base game. But it sold out. It met its target in 5 minutes on Kickstarter. Unfortunately, at time of recording, listener, it will have already passed that Kickstarter, which I think is the 17th or 18th of May. It's doing absolute gangbusters, and I just think every single card is a lovely little objet d'art. So I didn't have a hollow experience. I didn't come away with anything. We played a few games, Sam, that we may talk about today, but we may play more of them in the future. I don't know. But SHUG for me, strangely, was, after Magic Maze Pocket, was the game of the convention for me.
The one game that has kind of been a big hit in the family since we came back has been Mooki Island, and it's kind of probably worth mentioning because it's been nominated for the Kinderspiel this year, and it's a very, very simple game. And I hate using the word simple and easy when describing
elegant
games or anything in life, because it kind of implies that, well, if you don't understand it, then you're an idiot. It's a family-friendly game. It is marketed at ages 4 and up. So it isn't, in terms of complexity, it's not complex at all. It's produced by Scorpion Masque, who are very prominent French board game publishers, Decrypto, Sky Team as well being their big hits. And Mooki Island is a 2-player game, which is really, really nice. So it's just me and my son can just sit down and play it. The box opens up, and inside the box is a treasure chest. And inside the treasure chest are these wonderful collection of cards. They're huge cards, slightly bigger than tarot-sized cards. And each card is double-sided. On each side of the card, you're going to have one creature who's going to be from one of 5 different biomes. So you've got fossil and underwater and forest and sun and moon. And you take all the cards out of this little treasure chest, and you close the treasure chest, and on top of the treasure chest you put in these 5 little trophies in their 5 little slots. And each trophy is worth different points, from 2 stars to 4 stars. And the game from that point on is you've got 2 piles of cards. You pick a card from one pile, you look at either side of it, and you decide which side you're going to put into your pile. Then once all the cards have been collected, you count up, right, how many fossil cards I've got, how many forest cards have I got, how many sun cards, how many moon cards you've got. Whoever's got the most of those cards, or the most of those symbols on those cards, wins the trophy. Whoever's got the most trophy points wins the game. And that is the game. It's just a pick, choose, put down in your pile. There's a bit of strategy in terms of, right, they're going for a lot of forest stuff, so I might pick some other animals. There is a spider whoever has the most spiders at the end of the game has to lose one of the trophies of the game. And my son loves a spider because he always gives me spiders. So that's a game. However, the thing that my son loves the most, and the absolute genius part of Mooki Island, and I think the reason why it has been nominated for the Kinderspiel this year, is that when you finish the game, you pick 3 Mookis that you have collected, so 3 cards and characters. Then you open up this massive wall chart.
It's great.
That has all the characters on them. It's amazing. That has all the characters on them, and a space beneath each of those characters to write in their name. So you play the game, then you pick 3 Mookis, and then you've got to name them and commit to that name forever and write it down in this big sheet. And that is what my son absolutely loves. And he'll play the game. Oh, can we play Mooki Island? Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. And then as we're playing the game, he's already looking at cards and thinking about, oh, what name could this one be? Who is this one? Oh, there's Hard Hat. He's turning up again. Oh, fabulous. the spider we've named Rainbow Webs. Oh, I don't want Rainbow Webs. You take Rainbow Webs this time. And suddenly we're building this whole island of creatures that we are naming together as a pair, and we're bringing this island to life and actually building their names. And there's Dazzle, and then there's Dazzle's son, who's called Dizzle. That is just the magic, and it's so simple, but for some reason it's just created this wonderful magical sense around a game and made it creative. And so, yeah, I think we will talk about more stuff from UKGE in time, but Mooki Island has definitely been one of the standouts for me and the family.
I've got some Bond facts for you, actually.
All right, okay.
I'll just rattle some of them off. Sean Connery wore a wig in every Bond film he was in.
Yeah, I knew that.
I didn't know it was in every film. I thought it was Diamonds Are Forever. Okay. Did you know that Roger Moore refused to run?
Okay.
He felt that he looked silly, so every time he runs in a Bond film, it's a stunt person doing it.
Brilliant.
Well, he still gets paid the same amount of money. So
and in the books, Bond hated tea. He loves martinis, but hated tea because he thought it was he thought tea was to blame for the ruin of the British Empire.
Yeah, sort of.
if you have any opinions on which one of us could play one of the four central main characters in a Bond film, so we're talking Bond, M, Q, Pete Moneypenny, and
Yep.
So me, Sam, and Chris. Who are the others? We've already established Pete.
yes, Pete Moneypenny. So it's just who's Q, who's M, and who's Bond. Then please do let us know. There is a definitive answer. stayinginpod@gmail.com. Send us an email or send us a DM on stayinginpod at Instagram, where you can see, I know we spoke about this because we're sort of time traveling a little bit. You can see some of our pictures from UKGE 2026 as well. And I think that's about it. Oh, no, it's not. BGG, Board Game Geek, is a website that you can go to and find us on there. And we will have a list of all the board games that we've covered on there. Which is a great idea for a gift guide, or you're looking for an opinion on a game that you're thinking about getting or just interested in. You can just get a link straight to the podcast that we spoke about that thing in. And we have a similar thing on Steam as well. So 007 First Light will be added to our curated page on Steam. So if you follow us on there, when we talk about a game, when you're looking at that game, we'll go, right, these guys liked it too. And then you can find the podcast that we talked about it on. It's pretty great. So have a look at us on there. We never got to talk about my feet, but
Maybe next time.
Okay. Are we doing that?
I'm more than willing to hear about your feet next time.
I'm not.
Oh.